r/AskMen. Nolac1856 says, how useful is it really for women to learn martial arts in the eyes of self-defense against a potential male component? I want to get into martial arts, but some of my male friends say, although it's a good hobby and may put me a step above the rest, in a real situation against a man, even one with no training, it won't matter very much at all. What do you guys think? Is he mostly right that training will be borderline useless in a real world situation, or should I be more optimistic about the benefits it could have for me in a combative situation? Yes, I realized I ed up on the title making sense, and yes, I meant opponent not component. Azoth89 says, guys, even small, couch potato or scrawny guys have way more of an advantage than a lot of women realize. You're never going to be Black Widow, but you can learn what it's like to take a hit and keep functioning, which a lot of women never have. You can also learn to hit harder than dudes will expect with very real intent. Sounds cheesy, but people who never got into fights or trained often genuinely don't know how to do that, and it matters. That won't win you a boxing match, but it could win you a couple seconds or a broken grip to run or draw attention. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes, well, the dark side is sometimes it might just make him real mad and put him on alert for any further attempt. And sometimes the size gap is enough, it just won't do anything. All depends. Emergency Taco says, I'm a pretty skinny dude, and one night I was in bed with my then girlfriend and the topic of strength comes up. She was pretty athletic, and she said something along the lines of, I'm glad you're not embarrassed that I'm stronger than you. I snorted and said, no you're not. She jumps on top of me and tries to pin my wrists, and within 10 seconds I have her on her back and I'm holding her wrists above her head with one hand. Both of us talked about it, and we had each had our own version of the realization, wow, if I wanted to hurt her she couldn't stop me. She had seriously thought she was stronger, and I kind of did too. How little effort it took for me to completely overpower her really surprised me. Sasiwiki says, it's really astonishing. I'm 56 feet, about 155 to 160 pounds. I'm not particularly muscular, but it's not all fat either. I have a slight gut, but I walk a lot, so my legs are very strong. I almost never work out. My fianc is 50 feet, about 135 to 140 pounds, though like 20% of that weight is in her boobs. She's extremely strong for her size, because she grew up on a farm doing manual labor and has a stocky strong build. She works out regularly with kettlebells and does yoga. We're almost exactly evenly matched in strength. When we really horse around, she can sometimes use her short arms to pin me in such a way that I can't get the leverage to get out without actually hurting her. And I can do the same to her if I'm able to use my weight to my advantage. It's genuinely kind of insane, and it shouldn't be fair that I can match her physically given that I never work out and I don't outweigh her by that much. Her center of gravity is so low that if someone grabbed her from behind she could easily throw them over her shoulder onto the ground. I've discovered this firsthand because I thought she was bullshitting when she said she could lol. But if a guy much bigger than me got her pinned, or even a guy my size who actively works out, she couldn't do much to get out of it, even given how strong she is compared to the average woman. Pogtastic says, I suggest doing it specifically so that you have a better sense of how much of an advantage it is to be male and have 50 plus pounds more weight. I feel like it's one of those things where you intellectually understand it, but don't get it until you're actually rolling around with a guy. Ideally, that happens on a mat instead of somewhere else. Eman 666 says, that's another great reason. P00 House says, some martial arts are better than others for women in my opinion. Boxing won't do you much good against someone 100 pounds heavier than you, but if you learn jujitsu you can choke out anyone. For Growing Stuff says, I'm a 155 pounds, 5 feet 7 inches male, and took my very first Jiu-Jitsu class last week. End of class was just rolling, and I got matched up with a couple women who were taller than me, probably lighter but still had muscle. One is a purple belt, not sure about the other, but she definitely knew more than I did. My takeaway from that day was just how much easier it was for me, just because I was a man, and I was absolutely holding back, not just because it was practice, but doubly so, because I knew I didn't know much, and was afraid of doing something wrong and hurting someone. Obviously, knowing technique is better than nothing, but I think the idea that a martial art can level the field for anyone, against anyone, is dangerous. r/AskMen. Jasmine says, what is something you missed about in your past relationship or relationships that you don't have now? Saw this question on the women's side of Reddit. Now I'm wondering what the men's side have to say about it. Jews on Parade says, generally I miss having someone to experience new things with, a partner through life. Lil says, I miss being able to get a blowjob at any time just by asking. In retrospect though, she probably did that because she felt it would keep me around. It wasn't worth it. Indica Teenton says, obviously the very intense moments of bliss. Just her presence in my life and many sensations that came with it. It was a pretty rocky relationship. We were both very young and immature. But she made me feel older or more like a man. Playing house and feeling that possibility of long relationship with her. Sleeping with her in my arms. Waking up to her beautiful, sometimes drooling, face. Quite a bit. Captain Curious 510 says, kinky sex. Polythrowaway 524 says, my current partner has no equal. Usana Mesifi says, I wonder what the women's side of Reddit's response was to this post. I can't imagine it was anything positive. I dunno, besides the answer you'd expect, it was just nice to have that special someone to share your life with. I cared deeply about my ex, and it made me happy to see her achieve her goals, laugh, and just generally be happy. I dunno, she was also my best friend for many years, so after we parted ways it kind of felt like I lost that person I confided in / just genuinely enjoyed interacting with. We also both loved food and made lists to try new places together. And we both enjoyed talking in the shower together after a long day working. It was just nice social time for the two of us. Losing out on those enjoyable routine things was kind of hard. Kartniran says, my wife was very love-a-dove and affectionate. She liked to touch, be touched and play around. A simple kiss when she would first see me. I miss that so much. My current relationship does not have that, and it's a major adjustment and perhaps an intimacy incompatibility. Time will tell, it's still early on. I'm4R34 says, sex. Hatred Shapt says, see, I've had past relationships where she was into weird sex stuff and other women. But my wife hasn't tried to stab me during our whole relationship. So 6 and 1. Hazel Pineaples says, nothing. Glad I removed myself from years of emotional abuse and toxicity. Jastrophysicist says, nothing, really. I've been fortunate that every new relationship I've had, as I've learned more from each, has set me up for overall upgrades to where I've now made it. Feels good, man. Dostoevsky says, a partner whom I could goof around with and play with. Sharky's 777 says, I miss having sex and getting head anytime and anywhere when I asked for it. MFF threesomes with her god friends and girls we'd meet when out. Anal. A best friend and girlfriend all in one. She would bring me a water / drink and snack when I'd light up. Her cooking. Being my eye candy and just having a hot girl holding my arm would make life easier as people treated me and her differently just because they saw a cute couple. She's make me nuts so hard and so much I think because I really loved her and all of me wanted to get her pregnant and I did, but we aborted it. Her choice and mine too. We were too young and broken just out of college, so we decided that was best. I wish her the best in life though I'ma call her now. r/AskMen. Herefordquit says, how has a woman's love changed you and your life? Telrim1 says, my mentor growing up told me girls are going to make you feel the very best and the very worst you're ever going to feel. He was absolutely correct. Tangum Reek says, I was able to cry out a lot of deep-rooted trauma in a safe place and grew as a person thanks to her being understanding and loving. WKD52 says, it's night and day and I'm so much better for it. Before I met her I was your textbook alpha typer, 100 and phone 100% of the time, loud, short-fused, angry, and the fastest solution to a problem was to blow that problem up in the loudest, fastest most expedient manner possible so I could get to the next problem. She showed me there's a different way. A better way. Now, I take life as it comes, calmly, and don't try to force the issue. Think things through before I act. I've realized the fastest and most expedient solution isn't always the best solution. I don't need to raise my voice to make people hear me. I take the time to stop and enjoy the things my hard work has brought me instead of running full speed at the next windmill to tilt at. Took a lot of love and patience on her part, but life is better now. The way I used to do things are now tools in the toolbox, but they are only used at need instead of a way of life. This me is much better. And it wouldn't have been possible without her. Tallsale7407 says, my girlfriend is a medical student and she have taught me a lot of patience. Vmitten Sweeter says, I have less sanity now. Vaden Hapra says, is a mother's love included? If so, then yes. She taught me empathy through her actions. And although I'm not on her level of kindness or intelligence, I can understand people better because of her. Puzzle-headed at 3048 says, I experienced what it meant to be normal, asped, and while love has always been regarded so highly. Then she died, and I understood what desperation felt like. Oriclerk says, I was at half peace with myself and didn't believe that I could be loved or I could love somebody romantically. I still have doubts and cynical feelings, but I feel loved and I love her. She makes me feel that I should be a better version of myself. Not because she demands or expects anything, I just want to be my best for her. Her love somehow completed me mentally. If we'll break up someday I'm %99 sure that I won't feel like missing something again. And I'm at peace with this. If it will end someday it will, but I'm enjoying every enjoyable moment so far, and I will from now on. Rob Wheeler says, the way I was changed by the love of a good woman is she made me into a better, good and more kinder person. I wasn't always that way. PleasantEb9464 says, my wife is the best. She's submissive and kind. She takes care of me and our family and is my sidekick. She's a good cook and will do anything to please me. I have the best wife of anyone I know. Mintfuls and Seeker says, I'm single, and that fact should tell you everything you need to know about how a woman's love has changed me and my life. In short, I'm bitter, angry, unable to see my family because I moved across 2 states to be with the last one and can't afford to go back or visit. And I'm just tired of life in general at this point. Connect Stranger 7052 says, how I could just write on this. Absolutely love my GF. She's the best person I have ever met. Cantrillion says, the amount of pain has roughly equaled the amount of joy. But we are animals driven to it as our primal impulse. So the search continues. I'd imagine this is generally true for both genders. Like life, if it's easy, you probably aren't stretching your boundaries enough. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.